Shalom likulam. Hope you're doing great. Hope your week was amazing. Getting ready for Shabbat. This week's Torah portion, Lech Lecha. Go to yourself. Right, so many great teachings. And as we get deeper into the Torah, now we're in the third portion of the Torah, I'm reminded, and I'm sure we brought this up in the past, of a famous teaching of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, who said that we should live with the times. What did he mean when he said we should live with the times? He said we should live with the weekly Torah portion. That in each week's Torah portion, there's something there unique for us. There's a teaching there. There's a lesson. There's a voice calling out to us, telling, "Grab onto me. This is for you." Right? Every single year we read the same words of the same Torah, but every year it's different. There's something new. There's something special and unique that speaks to us for who we are uniquely in that year. Right? Each time we visit the Torah portion anew. So it's kind of like each Torah portion is like a spiritual retreat that we spend 1 week with this text, and we're trying to figure out what is it that I'm supposed to learn. What is it that's embedded in the words of this week's Torah portion, this section of the Torah? That's for me, right? What's the lesson? So one thing that came to mind for me this week is based on the first words of the Torah portion, which are the first words that God speaks to Abraham. This first communication between Abraham and God, we learn, are the words Lech Lecha, right? Me'artzecha, Umi Moladetecha, Umi Beit Avicha. God is saying to Avram, before anything else, go, leave your land, your birthplace, and the house of your parents. Right? And we know in the world, one of the biggest questions that people ask, especially as they get to that thing called middle age, right, is who am I? What am I? How do I know who I really, really am? My whole life I walked around this world maybe thinking I know who I am. Maybe other people told me who they think I am, and I believed them, and I based my understanding of myself on their perception of me. But sometimes we get to a point in our lives, and we're really asking, we want to just strip it down to the rawest, most essential aspect of us. Like, who am I? Right? And we know that in this world that there's this whole thing, nature versus nurture. Right, it's who I am on a biological level, who I'm born on a level of chemistry and biology, and just the physical matter and the genes that make up who I am, and that definitely has a huge influence in my life. And then there's like my surroundings. There's the nurture. There's who I was raised by and how I was raised, and my friends and my family and my community and my school and the world around me, the generation I live in and the culture I live in. There's so many different influences outside myself. And I believe that in this week's Torah portion, Avram is hearing from God. And when Avram hears something from God, right, we're also hearing it. Because we learned a very important teaching from the Torah itself, but also in these very special Parshat of the Avot, of the patriarchs and the matriarchs, that whatever they go through, whatever they experience, whatever they do, even whatever they say, is not only for them and their generation, but it makes waves throughout all the generations up into ours. That what they do is like a siman, is like a sign, is a symbol for other things to come for the Jewish people, again, up until our generation. So when Avram hears, leave behind your land and your birthplace and your house, we're hearing the same thing this week. We're also being told that. And what does it mean? It means you want to understand who you really are, strip down all these external forces and influences that have had an influence on you, that have had a bearing on your life. And yes, they are important. Right? Hopefully most of them are positive. Sometimes, let's be honest, they're not so positive. But if you want to know who the essential you is, go away from all of that. Go away from all of that. Strip all those away until you find the essential who you are. Right? Because underneath all those layers of influence is an essential you, is an essential me, an essential we. Right? And if we want to, and we find ourselves in our lives asking, but who am I? Like, what am I here to do? What is it that I'm here to do? And of course, especially according to Kabbalah, like, we're born into the right family and with the right, people around us, and the right generation, and the right time, and the right place even. Right? Everything's like perfectly custom tailored for us. So it's not just random, but still, right? There's this nikudah, there's this point inside of me that's me, no matter where I am, no matter who I'm around. And to get to that, we have to really, really take time, spend time with ourselves and strip away all those external influences. And that's what Abraham is being told at the beginning of this Parsha. You want to know what you're really here to do? He was 75 years old, right? Maybe because people lived longer, that was the age for a midlife crisis, right? But a crisis doesn't have to be a bad thing. A crisis could be a breaking down in order to build back up, right? And we break down up into that essential point that is the I, that is the essential I, right? And from there we can rebuild and we can go back out into the world as the true me. Right? And there's one more layer of this that we see in this week's Torah portion that just brings it even to a greater place, I think. And that's when Avram later in the Parsha is told by God, when he's having this conversation about he's going to be a nation, and is he going to have descendants? How is he going to have a nation? Right? If he doesn't even have a kid yet, all these different questions. And God basically takes him outside. It says, "V'yotzei oto achutza." V'yotzei oto achutza. Such a beautiful phrase. And on the simple level, it means he took him outside. And Rashi comments there that God took Avram outside and said, "Look up at the stars. Right? Look up at the stars. Right? Just like you can't count the stars, so too will be your descendants. Even though you have no children yet, don't worry. You're going to become a great nation." But Rashi comments, it's not just that. It goes even deeper than that. Like God's really telling him, you see the stars? The stars actually have an influence on your life. There is such a thing called Jewish astrology. It actually exists. It's not, fluffy, non-Jewish stuff. It's like it has a real place in Jewish mysticism. And Avram was a master reader of the stars. He knew. He can tell, what was going to come based on the way he was able to read the stars. And God's basically telling him, nonsense. Forget all that. That's another influence, right? The position and the influence of the stars. Forget even that. Go beyond even the stars. Go even beyond the highest influence on you in the world. Because your essential you is even stronger than that. Who you are and who you need to become is even stronger than that. You can break through all of that. You can break through those things that were kind of quote-unquote destined for you in this world, that you were supposed to be, that you were supposed to become, it's supposed to happen to you. You can break through all that. You have this power. You have this inner strength that can break through everything, right? No matter what the situation looks like in your life. Oh, but I was born into this kind of family, into this kind of environment, in this time, in this socio-economic situation. So my life is already kind of planned for me already. It's already determined. I can only go this far. Avram this week is hearing that's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. You can break through anything, right? You can mamish break through everything. Right? Rabbi Nachman shares with us such a beautiful teaching that it's all tului b'ratzon. It's all dependent on desire. If someone's desire is strong enough, they can break through any michshulim, any speed bump, any challenge that they face in their life. Right? What are the stories we love? We love hearing stories about this 12-year-old or 15 or 16 or 17-year-old kid from the inner city. What a tough situation, raised only by his mom and went to a horrible school and gangs on the street and crime and drugs. And yet he succeeded and broke through all of that. And now he went beyond it and he became, a successful who knows what, and he's going back to his community to help them in tremendous ways. It's a beautiful. We love those stories. Why? Because it shows us the power of the human being, that they can break through everything. And it's not only that one kid. Every kid could do that, right? We all could do that. We're all kids, right? Banim LaHashem, we're all children to God. Right? And God's telling you, yes, I put you in this situation, but no, you can break through any challenge. I gave you challenges in order to grow. They're not challenges to stunt your growth. They're challenges to further your growth. So please, me and you, all of us together, we should never look at anything that we have in our life as predetermined, predestined. Oh, look at this big challenge I have in my life, whether it be physical, mental, familial, community, whatever it might be. They're all there to help us grow, to help us learn, and eventually to help us understand who we are, the essential we that we are. I bless us that we should manifest this in our lives. We should take the blessing that is embedded in this week's Torah portion and really bring it into our lives so deeply and so true. Right? And share it with others, as always, and share it with the world. Lots of love and blessing from the land of Israel. Shabbat Shalom.